The ruthless 55-year-old titan of Blackwood Industries stood rigid in the November rain. She was visiting the marble tomb of her son Adrienne, who died 3 years ago. But her private grief was shattered by a scene that defied belief. A young black woman in a worn waitress uniform, cradling a small boy, both weeping at the grave. Victoria, clutching her white lilies, cut through the silence. "Excuse me, you're in the wrong place. This is a private moment." The young woman, her eyes red, looked up with an unexpected dignity. "I'm sorry. I didn't know anyone was coming. Who are you, and why are you crying at my son's grave?" Victoria's business instinct, cynical, sharp-kicked in. The boy, about 4, looked up at Victoria. His eyes were a startling, bright green. The exact shade of Adrienne's, the exact shade of her own. "My name is Jasmine Washington," the woman replied, her voice trembling but firm. "And this is Tyler. He's Adrienne's son." The lilies slipped from Victoria's gloved hands, scattering on the cold stone. 3 years of mourning the end of her bloodline, only to discover a grandson. A black grandson, raised by a waitress, living a life she couldn't fathom. But as Jasmine spoke, Victoria saw a hidden strength, a guarded secret behind her vulnerability. This was more than a chance encounter. Seen Victoria's opulent corporate office, 2 weeks later, Victoria's private library was a command center. Her private investigators' reports were spread out. Jasmine Washington, 2 low-wage jobs, 1 tiny poorside apartment, no formal education. Crucially, the PI found 0 documentation for Tyler's birth mother. It was as if she didn't exist. Victoria summoned Jasmine to her top-floor office. It was a calculated display of power. She offered a deal. "I've looked into you, Miss Washington," Victoria stated, opening a folder. "Tyler deserves the best. He deserves the Blackwood name." Victoria slid a check across the mahogany table. $200,000 to start. "Tyler comes to live with me. You can visit on weekends." Jasmine stared at the check. "Are you trying to buy my son? He's my grandson, blood of my blood. A waitress can't offer him what a family like ours can." Jasmine laughed, a cold, humorless sound. "Tyler calls me Mum. I wake up with him. I teach him math. I read him stories. That's family, Victoria." "Noble sentiments," Victoria sneered, rising to her full height. "But you work like a slave for rent. He deserves private schools." "And unconditional love," Jasmine fired back, holding her ground. "Something you clearly didn't give your own son. Adrienne told me about the missed games, the birthdays where you sent expensive gifts through an assistant. You want Tyler for a second chance to clear your conscience. Nothing else." Jasmine picked up the check and tore it in half. "Then we'll do this the hard way," Victoria hissed. "I have unlimited resources. I will prove a single mother with no education is not in the best interest of the child." Jasmine's smile finally broke through, and it was terrifying. "You assume I'm just a poor waitress you can intimidate. But there are things about me, about Tyler ... that you haven't discovered yet. And when you do, let's just say your investigators aren't as good as you think. Scene: Jasmine's small living room. A few days later, Victoria was stunned to learn Jasmine had retained Morrison, Caldwell, and Pierce, one of the nation's biggest law firms, pro bono. She didn't know that Jasmine's modest apartment was the new HQ for a secret team, a law professor, a corporate corruption journalist named Amanda Torres, and Jasmine's aunt, Helen Washington, a business law expert. Jasmine put a furious call from Victoria on speaker. Morrison, Caldwell, and Pierce. "What game are you playing?" Victoria screamed. Victoria. Jasmine's voice was calm, almost bored. "You think money is the only kind of power. But what if I told you there's something much more powerful? And what would that be?" "The truth." Jasmine handed the phone to the reporter. "Good afternoon, Miss Blackwood. I'm finishing up an investigative series on Blackwood Industries' questionable corporate practices." Victoria immediately hung up. The foundation of her empire was shaking. Scene: dramatic final confrontation. Victoria's house, Monday morning. Victoria woke up to chaos. Her assistant, David, handed her a tablet. The headline: Empire Built on Corruption. Leaked documents revealed decades of crimes at Blackwood Industries. Her accounts were frozen. The FBI was on the way. She frantically called Jasmine. You destroyed my life." Victoria screamed into the phone. "Good morning, Victoria," Jasmine replied. "You never asked about Tyler's mother. If you had, you would have found out her name was Jessica Blackwood, the daughter of the cousin you betrayed to steal his share of the company." Victoria gasped. Jessica and Adrienne fell in love. But Adrienne also discovered the truth of your crimes. He spent the last months of his life gathering evidence, the documents, the recordings. He left everything to me. He asked me to wait for the right moment. Victoria's blood ran cold. The accident. It wasn't an accident. The dangerous people you hired to take care of problems. They killed your own son, Victoria. He died because of your greed. Heavy footsteps pounded up the stairs. The front door burst open. "Victoria Blackwood, you're under arrest for tax fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy." As the handcuffs clicked, Victoria heard Jasmine one last time. "Tyler will grow up knowing the truth. Justice, even when it's slow, always comes." Jasmine looked at the camera with quiet power. She hadn't sought revenge. She had built justice. The most costly mistake Victoria Blackwood ever made was underestimating the patience of a woman with nothing to lose and a legacy to reclaim.